he plows back to the upcoming rising stars of the sport of basketball. Mr. Cortez, a very good afternoon and a warm welcome to Africa at Play.
Thank you, Neto. It's a pleasure to be back with you again, my brother. Thank you so much.
Incredible indeed. Welcome back to Africa at Play. Happy Africa Month.
And the same to you.
Thank you so much. Let's get on to it. Coach, from the last time we spoke, what have you been up to?
Since the last time we spoke, I have been up to developing and moving through the communities with our basketball camps and clinics. Also working in the fashion world and working with the basketball organization, the Soweto Panthers Basketball Club.
Interesting indeed. And how's progress so far? Because the last time we spoke about the Soweto Panthers, you weren't fully impressed because you still wanted to work on the team to a desired level where you know for sure that they will be competitive and they can get to a point of being like the likes of the Cape Town Tigers, MBB Basketball, who are now in Kigali, Rwanda, representing South Africa in their debut BAL season. And those are some of the plans you've had to get the Soweto Panthers to that exciting and incredible level. How far is the team so far?
So we prepare ourselves now to start the season at the beginning of June. But the BNL season has started as of this past weekend. And it's really exciting because, we've got a really amazing team that we've been able to put together. I'm looking very forward to see the impact that we'll have on the game of basketball as well as the Basketball National League.
And Coach, in terms of the playing personnel that you have in that Soweto Panthers team, talk to us about progress that you've made and some of the upcoming rising stars that you've brought on board, also those with experience that you are bringing on board to try and beef up the side.
So this season we've got a really uniquely different roster. We've got a good mix of some former players that played with me back in 2018 through 2020. I've got some other players who are very seasoned veterans, but these guys are, they play a lot like the way I think in the game of basketball. So they're very aggressive, very competitive. For this group of guys, they really hate to lose, and they don't take the opportunity for granted. So they're very hungry, like the underdogs. So I'm excited to see, for us, our signature is going to be defense. So to see that imprint on the game and their ability to execute at that level, it's going to be really exciting. I'm really motivated about how we look.
If you have just joined us, we are talking the sport of basketball with Coach Ronaldo Cortez, originally from the United States of America, but currently based in South Africa as the Soweto Panthers coach. Coach, let me take you back home. When last have you gone home, and what's so exciting about basketball in the U.S. as it stands? We know for sure they've always been a superpower when talking the sport of basketball, but I'm certain Africa is catching up.
Absolutely. You have to think about this, right? The last time I've been home, it's over a year now. And I live between Cleveland, which is where I'm originally from, Minneapolis, which is where I lived before I came back. And I'm a resident of Sacramento, California. And I do, when I'm in the States, I do get the chance to travel to different areas in the country for business and for basketball. Basketball in the United States it's like a drug, if you will. It is the one sport that at least I can attest to, that it broke all of the glass ceilings. Basketball creates opportunities for young people to, first and foremost, develop themselves out of adverse situations. It gives them the opportunity to engage in community. It becomes that family system that maybe those children, when they start out, they don't have that. It gives them that brotherhood or that sisterhood where, maybe in their family, they don't have siblings. So, basketball creates a healthy family type of environment, a culture. But on the other side of the game, it gives you the opportunity to become a billionaire or a millionaire if you invest yourself in the proper way. For instance, I was looking at the impact that a person such as former Duke basketball player Grant Hill has on the game. He's now co-owner of the Atlanta Hawks. And, Magic Johnson is very involved. He's an owner of multiple professional organizations in professional sports in America. Unlike some of the other sports, and I don't take anything away from them because I think all sports are very viable and important, but I'm very, very passionate about basketball. Basketball transformed my life. If I hadn't played basketball, I think I would have been successful in anything I put my mind to. But God had a plan for me to be in the game of basketball. And it has literally changed so many young people's lives from a life of trauma, a life of educational disparity, and also a life of economic poverty. So the game in the States, when it's operating in the proper position, it is a beacon of hope for so many around the world. The problem that I have with the game in the States is that a lot of the time, the African American players have no knowledge of the value that they bring to the game from an intrinsic point of view, from a visible point of view, and also from an actual equitable point where they actually are vested into the game. So a lot of time they take it for granted because they think that no one else is going to overtake them at the throne. But basketball in Africa, 54 countries, we are a very small minority in America in comparison to the global game. And people are hungry. They want the opportunities that sometimes maybe we overlook and take for granted. And at the end of the day, again, it gives us the ability to create an amazing environment for life transformation. So, basketball is great in the States. I like the prospects of it in Africa and in South Africa in particular, and the rest of the world.
That's the voice of Ronaldo Cortez, a former basketball player originally from the United States of America, currently the coach of the Soweto Panthers, talking all things basketball on the African continent and globally. Coach, please do stay on the line. We take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation with the legendary basketballer that is Ronaldo Cortez. This is Africa at Play as Delil Siashai.
Africa, meet Abedi.
Yeah, that's me.
Abedi is a music lover through and through.
I really love African music.
He's got a taste for all kinds of tunes and spends his days listening to Channel Africa. Guess what? He didn't know.
Okay.
Channel Africa wants to help Abedi and all music lovers everywhere to discover even more incredible music. That is why Channel Africa is calling on all African musicians to submit their music. Musicians, remember to give us all your relevant information. Make your submissions at music@channelafrica.co.za. Submissions are your chance to be heard on radio. But sadly, they do not guarantee that you will be playlisted. All submissions will be carefully reviewed to see if they meet our station's requirement. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Africa at Play with Neto, Neto Chemane.
14:13 Central African Time. If you have just joined us, a happy Africa Month and a warm welcome to Africa at Play. We are in the middle of an exciting basketball conversation with the legendary basketballer Ronaldo Cortez, a former player, currently a coach, originally from the United States of America, but based in South Africa, in Southern Africa, on the African continent. Coach, thank you so much for staying on board. You've touched on something exciting to say African American basketballers, they do not realize their worth in terms of, what their contributions are in the sport. And sometimes that complacency kicks in where they're most likely to think they've arrived because they play basketball in a country where basketball is a way of life versus many other countries that are still trying to play catch up. Let's talk about the business side of the game. How far is Africa from looking at basketball as a lucrative business that is going to be profitable and not have players that have 9 to 5 or side hustles and still have to play the game that is so demanding, especially during preparation of continental and global spectacles?
That's a really good question. Basketball, as my perspective, in Africa right now, and because I'm here in South Africa, I was also blessed to coach Somalia's women's team in the World Arab Games in 2023. We had 7 players that were called Gift Star. And we took the bronze medal during the earthquake in Marrakech. The hunger that players have drives their passion to stay committed to the game in the international community. In America, we are blessed with the opportunity for unbelievable wealth. In spite of certain cultural indifference, we still have the ability to develop and generate cash money out of our opportunities, dreams, visions, and aspirations. The African culture has something much more equitable and much more powerful that Americans don't have. And that's a sense and wherewithal of their history and where they come from and their why. So when that, to me, meets the economic environment, it's going to transform things on a whole different level. Economically, the African culture, the community, the global game is not economically where the American game is. But the knowledge, the hunger to obtain the knowledge, and the work ethic to go beyond the comfort zones, I've never seen anything more powerful. When I was coming up in the States, for me, basketball was a heartbeat. I remember John Thompson and Jim Boeheim. That's a head coach at Georgetown. He's passed on now, and Coach Jim Boeheim, the head coach at Syracuse. And they were fighting for equity as it related to what they call minority black students who weren't getting the fair academic opportunities as other students in the country who are now a part of the elites. They fought for Proposition 42 or Prop 42 and Proposal 42 and Proposition 48, which gave the glass ceiling the ability to be shattered for basketball players who look like myself and look like many people here. The opportunity to play the game, get the education, get the opportunity that weren't so affordable to people who were considered black or minority or of the inner city communities. And because of those people and many people before them, Will Chamberlain, Oscar Robinson, Lou Alcindor / Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, Larry Bird. I mean, there's so many men that opened the doors. And unfortunately, I think Africa has picked up where America has fallen off.
Interesting.
And the business side is huge.
Interesting indeed. Coach, how many years are you giving yourself as the mentor of Soweto Panthers to make it to the Basketball Africa League?
I'm a competitor. And my heart-driven passion is that we're in position by the end of this season to challenge for that spot. And we're coming.
MBB Basketball Club, also known as the Blue Soldiers, are in their debut season of the BAL in Kigali, Rwanda, and the playoffs and the finals will be heading to Pretoria, South Africa's capital city, in a few days to come in the month of June. Talk to us about your thoughts on MBB.
My thoughts on MBB are plain and simple. I'm so proud of them, as well as I was proud of the Cape Town Tigers, because at the end of the day, being a competitor, we all want to see the game thrive and flourish. So I'm not going to step back and hate on my brothers or my sisters for achieving just because maybe we weren't at that position. I want to see South African basketball at the pinnacle of the game, competing at the highest level. And when I look at MBB, they got the greatest coach, my mentor, my big brother, Sam Vincent, head coach of the Charlotte Bobcats at one point with Michael Jordan. So you can't get any better than that. You cannot get any better than that. So when I played here in 1998, the NBA was present. Today, the NBA is present, and the game is beyond what it was in 98. And I'm excited. I think that MBB represents a great business brand, and I'm proud of what they're doing. And it's a beacon of hope for everybody here. I think that the game of basketball in totality must evolve so that it can create the same impact it has in the United States right here in South Africa.
That's the voice of Coach Ronaldo Cortez, originally from the United States of America, former basketball player and currently the mentor of Soweto Panthers in South Africa. Coach, time is very strange when having a good time. For some reason, it runs so rapidly. I want to continue, but the clock says no. But I know you are going to be back on the show in the near future so that we can continue where we left off. Thank you so much for talking to us on Africa at Play. Have the best afternoon further.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
14:19 Central African Time. That's how we wrap up our conversation with Ronaldo Cortez, a former basketballer from the United States of America, currently the basketball mentor who holds coaching clinics and different camps to empower his knowledge to the upcoming rising stars of the beautiful sport of basketball. We take a short break. When we come back, we're going to touch base with Kesham Sajinyati, our legendary correspondent to the Encyclopedia of Global Athletics, originally from Zimbabwe, but based in the United Kingdom. This is Africa at Play.
You like what we do on Channel Africa? Then follow us on our socials. Channel Africa 1 on all social pages. And get the African perspective. You heard something you like on Channel Africa, and you would like to hear it again. Worry not, we've got your back. Just go to our website, www.channelafrica.co.za, and look for our podcast. Africa at Play with Neto and Neto Chemane.
14:21 Central African Time. This is Africa at Play. We are live every Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time on DSTV Audio Bouquet Channel 802 or OpenView 628 if you are based in South Africa. Alternatively, you can reach us from any corner of the world on channelafrica.co.za. My name is Neto and Neto Chemane. Thank you for choosing Africa's number one, Africa at Play. The next stop of the Diamond League series takes place in Rabat in Morocco. It is expected that a good number of top athletes from the continent will compete. But on Friday, the third leg of the league series took place in the city of Doha in Qatar, where some leading African athletes posted good results. Our UK-based Channel Africa sports correspondent, Kesham Sajinyati, highlights the Doha competition.
Some of the athletes gave out their best performances. In the men's 800 meters, Botswana's Paris Olympic Games finalist Tshepiso Masalela won the two-lap event with a world-leading time of 1 minute 43.11 seconds. He ran a solid race to beat Bryce Hoppel of the USA and Wycliffe Kinyamali of Kenya. Masalela's fellow countryman Letsile Teboho, the 200 meters Olympic champion who had a sluggish start in the current season, narrowly won his race in a time of 20.10 seconds. It was too close for comfort, with the American challenger Courtney Lindsay breathing hard on his shoulders. A mere hundredth of a second separated the two sprinters. The Kenyans impressed with 3 straight victories in the long track events. Faith Cherotich upstaged the reigning world and Olympic champion Winfred Yavi of Bahrain in the women's 3,000 meter steeplechase. She kicked hard towards the end to win in a season's world best time of 9 minutes 05.8 seconds, with Ethiopia's Sembo Alamayeu finishing in third place. Raymond Cherotich won the men's 5,000 meters in 13 minutes 16.46 seconds, while Nelly Chepcheshe took honors in the women's 1,500 meters in 4 minutes 07.33 seconds. The men's javelin throw and women's 100 meters also drew excitement to the crowd. Olympic javelin champion Neeraj Chopra of India battled with Julian Weber of Germany. But in the end, Weber threw a massive 91.06 meters to beat the high-riding Indian national record holder. The crowd puller, Shady Ann Fraser-Price of Jamaica, was the pre-race favorite to win the women's 100 meters. But the celebrated top sprinter finished a disappointing 4th position. It was, however, a Jamaican family affair. Tia Clayton won the race in 10.92 seconds, her twin sister, Tina, finishing second. The league meeting in Doha followed 2 events held in China. Now the touring athletes are heading for the 4th leg series in Morocco. Kesham Nyati for Africa at Play.
Africa at Play with Neto and Neto Chemane.
14:24 Central African Time. If you have just joined us, a very warm welcome to Africa at Play, the continent's best sport and music destination. Let's now welcome to Africa at Play, Kesham Sajinyati. Saji, good afternoon and a warm welcome to Africa at Play.
Thank you very much, Neto. Yeah, I'm fine. Everything is perfect this side.
Thank you so much for joining us. Happy Africa Month. Let's get on to it, Saji. The Diamond League series is quite massive when talking athletics with different legs of this event. Talk to us about the importance of this event and those athletes, especially from the African continent, that continue to leave remarkable footprints.
Yeah, it is the top tier of track and field competition, in the world. It actually attracts top-class athletes who compete in this series. The Diamond League is spread in 15 events, different countries. China has just hosted 2 events, and the next event, which is the 4th leg, will take place in Rabat in Morocco. Morocco is the only African country that has got the privilege to host a Diamond League meeting. But just recently, over the weekend, as I've said before, the meeting was in Doha, in Qatar, where there were some good results posted by the African athletes. But now let's focus ahead in Morocco. Now, in Morocco, bearing in mind that it's an event taking place on the African continent, it is expected that a number of African athletes will take part in Morocco as they prepare for the big stage, and that is the upcoming World Championships, which will be held in Tokyo, Japan.
If you have just joined us, we are talking to Gershom Sajinya, to the Encyclopedia of Global Athletics, the son of Southern Africa from Zimbabwe but based in the United Kingdom. Saji, please do reflect to the World Relay World Championships, where we've seen Team South Africa making certain that the African continent is well represented on the medal table.
South Africa is continuing to do well at the World Relays. This is not the first time they've won the World 4x100 meters relay. Did it in Malaysia, that was in Bend some time ago, and then they've done it again this year. They won the event, which was very good competition for them. And the good thing is that the competitors, three of the sprinters, Vayanda Walaza, Brakin Koane, Snesipo Stambile, they're actually, a new crop of sprinters in South Africa, but they were led by the senior sprinter, somebody who has been in the game for some time, Akani Simbine, and he led them to victory. Apart from the 4x100 meters relay team, there were other teams from South Africa in the relays, both men and women, who did very well. And to that regard, World Athletics, they've adjudged that South Africa was the best team at the World Relays.
Good indeed to hear that Team South Africa is doing wonders. Sergi, you've mentioned that so far Morocco is the country that has been having the privilege of hosting the Diamond League. With South Africa blessed with facilities in different sporting codes, what could be the stumbling block for South Africa from hosting this event?
I think South Africa has the potential to do so. In Johannesburg and Cape Town, I'm sure we've got the good stadium that can host these games. The infrastructure in South Africa is quite good for them to host. I remember some time back, the son of Lamin Diak, the late Lamin Diak, Papa Diak, he actually spoke. He was really vigorous about it, to say, why can't Cape Town host a big event? So hopefully in the near future they'll consider making a bid and become one of the countries that will host a Diamond League meeting. Kenya, they've done very well. They've hosted the World Junior Championships and things like that because they've got a number of good athletes in the country. And Botswana also, they've done quite well indeed, hosting a Grand Prix meeting. So we steadily getting there, but we need more countries to be in the fray and try to host these big games. Now, as we talked about South Africa, if I can just mention this, the South African sprinter Akani Simbine is currently in the USA. He competed at the Atlanta City Games. He won his event, and so is Favor Ofili of Nigeria. She ran the 150 meters event, which is not a common event though, and she did very well. And as I'm talking, there will be the Seiko Grand Prix meeting also abroad, where a number of African athletes will be taking part. So it's getting quite spectacular at the moment. Athletes, they are getting into good shape, doing very well, setting their personal best times, and even recording world leading times and distances in their particular events.
Kasham Sajinyati, our legendary correspondent under the world of athletics, based in the United Kingdom, originally from Zimbabwe. Saji, thank you so much for fueling us up with the latest under athletics globally and continentally.
Thank you very much. Quite encouraging indeed. Even at the World Relays, I remember there was the Ivory Coast team and Zambia as well. Yeah, they're getting there. It's shaping up. Well done. Thank you.
14:31 Central African Time. That was Kasham Sajinyati talking to us on Africa at Play. We take a short break. When we come back, we go into cross to Nigeria, where we will be talking to a representative from the Confederation of African Athletics, as well as the president of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria. This is Africa at Play, as Delil Siashai.
Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter?
Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard?
Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126.
And we will call you back.
So you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So yeah, that's who I am, you know.
It's not just talk, it's your chance to air your views.
Share your opinion.
Engage with a community that values your perspective.
Follow us on our social media.
Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za
And get ready to share your views
on Channel Africa,
the African perspective.
Africa at Play. Beautifully, happily marrying sports and music.
14:32 Central African Time. You are still tuned in to Africa at Play. We are live every Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time on DSTV Audio Bouquet Channel 802 if you are in South Africa. Alternatively, you can access us from anywhere you are on channelafrica.co.za. Thank you for listening. Abeokuta, the capital of Ogun State in southwestern Nigeria, is gearing up to welcome the continent's rising athletic stars as preparations intensify for the Africa Under-18 and Under-20 Athletics Championship, scheduled to take place from July the 16th to the 20th, 2025. Following a thorough two-day inspection, the president of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, AFN Chief Tonoboko Okowa, has commended the Confederation of African Athletics, CAA, inspection team for their professionalism and detailed evaluation of the facilities. We will now be talking to the president of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria. The line just cut off, but worry not, our legendary producer Andy Siwemali is getting that line back on. Led by the CAA Director General Lamine Fati of Senegal, the inspection team included Technical and Development Director Aziz Dawuda and Melinda Lombard, as well as Munya Marayire, and this is the CAA team that went for this inspection. Let's now welcome to Africa at Play the CAA Director General Lamina Fati from Senegal. Mr. Fati, a very good afternoon and a warm welcome to Africa at Play.
Thank you. Good afternoon. And thank you for your invitation.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank also your listeners and your followers in the different social media platforms.
Thank you so much, my good sir. Happy Africa Month.
Yeah, happy, very happy.
Good one indeed. Let's get on to it. Talk to us about this exciting inspection that you had to go do in Nigeria at Abeokuta, the capital of Ogun State in southwestern Nigeria, gearing up for the Under-18 and Under-20 Africa Athletics Championship that will be taking place in July from the 16th to the 20th. How did it go?
No, it went very, very well because we arrived here and we do have the technical inspection the first day we arrived. But from what we have seen, really the stadium is ready to welcome Africa. Really, we have been very, 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 very happy to see the infrastructure well renovated and comply with the international rules. For that, we are very happy. And yesterday also, we did a lot of visit to the different hotels to see where our athletes will be accommodated and our guest participants. So at the end of the day, we are very satisfied and very happy of our visit.
If you have just joined us, we are talking to the Confederation of African Athletics, that is the the special gentleman who's devoted his life to the world of athletics, all the way from Senegal. That is Lamine Fati, who is representing the mother body of athletics on the African continent. Let's also welcome to this conversation a gentleman who must be super excited about how it all went, the president of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, Chief Tonobok Okowa. Mr. President, good afternoon and a warm welcome to Africa at Play.
Yes, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, my good sir. Thank you so much for joining us on Africa at Play. Happy Africa Month.
Yeah.
Let's get on to it, Mr. President. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me, Mr. President?
I think it's louder now. Yeah, it's good enough.
Okay, lovely stuff. I was saying Happy Africa Month.
How's the Africa?
Africa Month.
Mr. President, can you hear me?
Okay.
Oh, I was saying Happy Africa Month.
Yeah, it's good. Everything is all right. We're good with it.
All right, thank you so much. Let's talk about the inspection that took place in Abeokuta, the capital of Ogun State in southwestern Nigeria, by the delegation from the Confederation of African Athletics, CAA. How did it go?
Yeah, they've been here, and we've been going around for the inspection. They went around all the facilities. And then all the accommodations that we are supposed to use. We discussed the logistics, transportation, and whatever. And they seem to be happy with what they have seen. And so far, so good. There are no complaints yet. No doubt there are maybe little things that we need to put in place. And those things will be taken care of in no distant time. So they are very happy about what they are saying, and I'm also very happy with them. We went around what we have here in Abeokuta is it's going to work. The competition will be a good one. A lot of people have been going around. A lot of people are excited about it, especially when they were going around for the inspections. You can see the welcome, another welcome that they gave to them in different facilities, in the hotels. So people are happy, and they are happy about the reception they have given to them so far.
If you have just joined us, we are talking to the President of Athletics Federation of Nigeria, AFN, Chief Tonobok Okowa, and we are also talking to the representatives from the Confederation of African Athletics, that is Director General Mr. Lamine Fati of Senegal, and also the Technical and Development Director, Aziz Daouda from Morocco. Mr. President, you are super satisfied with how things are in terms of how the inspection went. Talk to us about how does the Athletics Federation of Nigeria and the entire country feel about hosting an event of this magnitude, the Under-18 and Under-20 African Athletics Championship?
Well, everybody is happy, especially the Ministry of Sports, which is the National Sports Commission. The chairman of the sports commission, the DG, all the athletics families, and the entire people of Ogun State, which is in Abeokuta, they are so happy. And they are really appreciative of the fact that CAA has given Nigeria the host right. And because of that, people are looking forward to see what is going to happen in July. Come July, Abeokuta will be the place to be. We are happy. We thank CAA for giving it free to allow us to host this competition. And I know we are going to work so hard so that everything will come out seamless.
That's the voice of the President of Athletics Federation of Nigeria, AFN, Chief Tonobok Okowa, talking to us on Africa at Play about the upcoming continental spectacle under the umbrella of continental athletics, the Under-18 and Under-20 Africa Athletics Championship, scheduled to take place from July the 16th to the 20th, 2025. Let's also welcome to Africa at Play the Technical and Development Director, Mr. Aziz Daouda from Morocco. Mr. Daouda, thank you so much for joining us on Africa at Play. Happy Africa Month.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Talk to us about your role as a technical and development director. In terms of this inspection, have you ticked all the boxes? Are you happy? Looking forward to July?
Of course, we're happy with. First of all, we have to thank Nigeria Federation authorities to having us for this very, very important event for the CAA. It's the most important event that we are holding because it's concerned much more than 850 athletes, because there are two countries in one competition, and it's a huge competition. And for that, we need a lot of logistics, a lot of effort, and the Nigeria friends are doing all their best to have to hold a very high level competition.
That is the voice of Aziz Dawuda, who is the Technical and Development Director under CAA, the Confederation of African Athletics. We also have the Director General, Mr. Lamine Fati of Senegal. Let's bring him back to the conversation. Mr. Fati, talk to us about the state of athletics on the African continent. Are you happy with what you are witnessing on the ground in different African countries, considering that Africa is not just a tough continent, but a massive one with 54 countries?
Yeah, I'm very happy because there's no complex and no doubt about what happened and on the field. Of course, there are many problems that we are to address and to come up with solutions. But that we can't do it alone. We have maybe to be in a sort of partnership, institutional one, with the government, to see how we can bring more add value, how we can help more the athletes to perform and to come up. So, and we started very, very long time, but we are still keeping the hope that maybe Africa will have better system coming next year. Because grassroots athletes are here, the talent are here, we have the human resources, and the goodwill is here also. Maybe the only thing is just to make an appeal for our governments to support more by the budget when they are doing arbitration, to give maybe more support and more means to our member federations. That is our only concern. Apart from that, yeah, people are very motivated. They are their best to perform. So I think we are very happy. Africa is the way athletics on Bolivia. So it's a big opportunity, big chance. So we have to seize this and to try to see how we can have better and more from that situation. So at the end of the day, we are satisfied. All is not good, of course, because saying that all is good is to not be honest, but there are some problems somewhere in some fields. But anyway, we are trying always to do our best to come up with solutions and to do proposal also, because it's not only about us, it's about all the member families, coaches, officials, administratives, partners, sponsors, media people, you guys, and all. And all together, I think that we can have better Africa.
That is the Confederation of African Athletics, CAA Director General, Mr. Lamine Fati of Senegal in West Africa. And we also have the Technical and Development Director, Mr. Aziz Dawuda, all the way from Morocco. And of course, this is not the entire team of the representatives or the delegation from CAA. We also have Melinda Lombard as well as Munya Maraire, also from South Africa and Southern Africa. Let's bring back the president of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, AFN, Chief Tonopok Okowa. Mr. Okowa, let's talk about youth athletics. How important are these rising African athletes? Because the future is always bright, but only bright if these athletes are nurtured properly.
At the moment, you know that our standard in Africa is going higher and higher, especially with competitions coming up. You can see a lot of athletes, when you talk about grassroots sports development, you can see a lot of athletes are growing and doing better and then hitting stardom, and some of them breaking records and all that. Of course, you know you have to catch them young, like competition like this, where you have to talk about the youth and the junior. These youth and junior, a lot of them will also grow up and then they hit stardom. When you talk about people like Toby Amuso, you talk about a lot of them from other countries too that are doing so well, Tobago and all that. These are athletes from Africa. They started somewhere, very young. A lot of them are outside Africa, going to school and picking up their sports careers, and at the end of the day, still come home to represent their home countries. So we're happy that we're producing champions now, and that's the way it goes. And it's through competitions like this you will identify them. So we're happy with what is happening in Africa. Come to talk about Mr. Lamin Fati and Mr. Dauda Aziz. I like this kind of work they did here. They were very thorough, and I was thinking they were going to try to bend rules so that just things would slide. No, they were very vehement on having good facilities and good accommodation. So I applaud what they have done. I applaud the kind of standard they want to give the competition. So respect them a lot and let them keep it up. It shall be. And then with this, we'll be able to always improve the standard of our competitions, CAA competitions here in Africa.
That is the voice of the President of Athletics Federation of Nigeria, AFN, Chief Tonabako Kowa. We're talking all things African athletics with the exciting Under-18 and Under-20 Africa Athletics Championship coming up speedily to take place from July the 16th to the 20th, 2025 in Abeokuta, the capital of Ogun State in southwest Nigeria. Let's now bring back to the conversation the Technical and Development Director of CAA Confederation of African Athletics, Mr. Aziz Daouda from Morocco. Mr. Daouda, what's the state of athletics in Morocco? And let's talk about the facilities, which happens to be a challenging factor in different African countries.
No, Africa is rising. You know that Africa represents much more than 35% in the whole world activities in athletics. We are the most participating continent. Every day during the 365 days a year, we have African athletes running somewhere and winning somewhere. So we are we're the first power in athletics. You've seen that in the last world competitions, Africa has always at least 3 countries in the top 10 of the world, which is fantastic. But this is the result of the strategy that the CAA built with the African member federations to rise up at new athletes, new generations of athletes, and we have seen this last weekend in China at the occasion of the Relays World Championships. South Africa has got 2 medals. South Africa is right now the first country in the world in relays, and you have Botswana just behind. And this is just fantastic for us. I think the future is for sure for Africa in the world athletics.
That is the voice of Aziz Daouda, who is the Technical and Development Director under the umbrella of the Confederation of African Athletics, CAA. Let's also bring back to the conversation the Director General of CAA, Mr. Lamin Fati of Senegal. Mr. Fati, talk to us about the recent partnership or collaboration, amalgamation, if you like, between the CAA and Worldwide Scholarships, that is WWS.
Yeah, this partnership is part of the vision designed by President Kalkaba a long time ago. And we have been given maybe the opportunity to sign with Worldwide Scholarships. Which company, me personally, I did not know, but from now I know that it's a very big one. And these people are very motivated to accompany CA in his whole development and in the whole strategy. So we do hope that maybe the best is to come with this partner. We are very happy to have them on board, and the way we see them working on the ground is very satisfactory. So, and we believe in them, and we trust that maybe in the future they will bring more add value to African athletics than it is right now. I'm very happy with this partnership, and yeah, we keep confident that maybe we'll make it together. Alone, not, but together we'll make it. So I'm very happy with this partnership, and I expect a lot from this partnership also.
Will you be returning to Nigeria anytime soon before the event kicks off in July?
Yeah, we intend to come back because what is going on is this festival. Of course, just allow me to size this open to say that we already have a good dose of what the championship will be like thanks to this festival currently underway. We see how the leaders are mobilized, how the state is mobilized, how the people are mobilized. So we can expect the same mobilization during our championship, along with maybe the potential we will bring to Nigeria. So we're definitely ready to Nigeria and to work. There are one team, CA, the LOC, Athletic Federation, Nigeria, the Ogun State, we are all in one team. So we intend really to deliver a very good and top-class championships next July.
That is the voice of the Confederation of African Athletics, CAA Director General, Mr. Lamine Fati of Senegal, talking to us about all things athletics on the African continent. Mr. Fati, thank you so much for talking to us on Africa at Play. Have a good afternoon further.
Thank you. I just want to size one thing, which is very important. You talked about it, and Aziz also raised the issue. Infrastructure, facilities are very, very, very important. So we have to encourage our states, our government to do more in these fields. There are so many in few countries, but there are less in other countries. So our aim, our objective is to see in all countries many facilities to run our event correctly the way we want it. So thank you guys for your invitation, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fati. That is the CAA Director General Lamine Fati of Senegal. Let's also now wrap up the conversation with the Technical and Development Director of CAA, Mr. Aziz Daouda. Mr. Daouda, your parting shot, your final word as we say goodbye.
Oh, thank you very much for having us, because this is the athletics about activities and consider Africa first. Because athletics only.
Mr. Daouda, the line is a little bit sketchy. Is there a way that you can move a bit? Because we can barely hear you. I'm certain if you move a bit, we should be able to hear you.
Okay. It's better right now?
Much better right now. Please go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I just wanted to tell you that the first sport in Africa as a result, as value, is athletics. It's the only sport where Africans can be in the top 3 and the top 4 in the world, or in the first place in the world, as we are right now in the relays. We invite the governments to invest much more in athletics and to help the national federations to do the job. We are committed to push them with the strategy that we have made since now 20 years. We started this synergy, and it works, and the results are here. So there is no way to convince anybody that athletics is the first sport in Africa. But through your media and the other medias, we can just repeat it to let people who doesn't know about it to sport in Africa.
The Technical and Development Director, Mr. Aziz Daouda, under the big mother body of athletics in Africa, the Confederation of African Athletics, abbreviated for CAA. Mr. Daouda, thank you so much for the hard work that you are putting on the ground together with your team. All the best moving forward.
Thank you. Thanks a lot to you.
Let's also bring back the President of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, AFN, the Chief Tonobok Okowa. Mr. Okowa, thank you so much for joining us on Africa at Play. Before we say goodbye to you, anything that you would like to wrap up with, considering that this event is a big event that Nigeria is going to host on behalf of the African continent in July? It looks like the president is gone, but nevertheless, we say thank you to the president of Athletics Federation of Nigeria, AFN Chief Tonoboko Kowa, and we also would like to say thank you to the Director General, Mr. Lamine Fati of Senegal, from CAA, including other members who representing CAA, the Director General, Mr. Aziz Dawuda, as well as Melinda Lombard and Munya Marayire, for the great inspection that they went to do in Abeokuta, the capital of Ogun State in southwest Nigeria, gearing up to welcome the continent's rising athletic stars as preparations intensify for the Africa Under-18, Under-20 Athletics Championship that is slated to take place from the 16th to the 20th of July 2025. That's how we wrap up our conversation on all things African athletics. It's time for Africa and the world to dance. Something Soweto featuring Don Oliver and Rema Tempua.
Music and lifestyle. We deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa. Partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa. Partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa. Partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is...
And before that, we played you Soweto. That is by Don Toliver, Rima, and Tempoa. 15:04 Central African Time. Thank you for choosing Africa at Play. Let's now update you on football matches that will be taking place across the African continent and globally. In the Africa Cup of Nations Under-20, Nigeria will take on Egypt in the losers final, playing for the bronze medallion, and South Africa will line up against Morocco in the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations final. The Nigeria-Egypt match is at 1700 Central African Time, and the final will wrap up the proceedings at 2000 Central African Time. In the Premier League, Everton is up against Southampton, the Saints, and Everton is leading beating Southampton by 2-0. Southampton have already been shown the exit door. They've been relegated from the Premier League with 8 games to spare. So this result would have been just a pride result where they would bow out in pride, but unfortunately bow out with pride. But unfortunately, it's not going their way as it stands because Everton have triumphed by 2-0. West Ham United will take on Nottingham at 15:15 Central African Time. Brentford will take on Fulham at 1600 Central African Time. Leicester City up against Ipswich Town at 1600 Central African Time. The Gunners of London, Arsenal, welcome Newcastle at 17:30 Central African Time. In Serie A, in the Italian League, AS Roma will take on AC Milan at 20:45 and Cagliari up against Venezia also at 20:45. Fiorentina will take on Bologna at 20:45 and Inter up against Lazio also at the same time 20:45. Juventus up against Udinese and Lecce up against Torino. Monza will take on Empoli and Parma will go up against Napoli, while Verona welcome Como, and all these matches are taking place at 20:45 Central African Time. In Netherlands, Ajax Amsterdam is leading Twente by 1-0. 36 minutes of football has been played. AZ Alkmaar is up against Almere City. Almere City leading this occasion by 1-0, and Heerenveen is has beaten Feyenoord by 1-0. And in the La Liga, Atletico Madrid will take on Betis at 1900 Central African Time. Barcelona, also known as Barca, will line up against Villarreal also at the same time, 1900 Central African Time. Celta Vigo up against Rayo Vallecano at 1900, and Las Palmas will take on Leganes at the same time. We now welcome to Africa at Play. We take a short break. When we come back, we will welcome our bundles of joy, our teenagers in sport, rather, Khositsile Kutumela as well as Jason Maxson after this short break.
What does Africa's future look like? And are we bold enough to shape it? Okay. Join Channel Africa and the Thabo Mbeki Foundation for the 15th Africa Day Lecture. Live from the iconic Julius Nyerere International Convention Center in Dar es Salaam on Saturday, 24th of May from 3 to 6 p.m. Central African Time. This year's theme, the state of the continent and reigniting the African Renaissance. Expect bold ideas, visionary leaders, and the spark to reignite Africa's future. Be part of the conversation only on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Find us on SABC Plus and on www.channelafrica.co.za. What are the teenagers up to if they are not in class? Let's get in touch with the teenager in sport.
15:08 Central African Time. This is Africa at Play, and we now welcome to Africa at Play, our teenagers in sport, and we're talking to the tennis sensations, Khositsile Kutumela, a 13-year-old, and Jason Maxson, who is also 13 years and playing tennis. This weekend, we are blessed with the 13-year-olds because even yesterday, we spoke to the twin sisters who are 13-year-olds. It must be a special age. Let's welcome Khositsile Kutumela. Khositsile, good afternoon, and a warm welcome to Africa at Play.
Thank you, everyone.
How are you doing?
Good, you?
I'm good, thank you. When did you start playing tennis?
But like 2021.
2021. So you're sitting on a 4 years experience playing tennis. How's the sport of tennis? What do you like so much about it?
Tennis is a very good sport and like it's so fun.
What did you play before you started playing tennis? Did you play any sport?
No.
So tennis is your first sport and you're loving it?
Yes.
When last did you play a match?
Like 2 weeks back.
2 weeks back. How did it go? Did you win or it was not a good day on the court?
It was not good. No, it was not a good day.
Okay. So what did Coach Mpo say to you after that match so that when you go back to the court you can perform much better and win your next match?
She said keep pushing. Never give up.
She said keep pushing and never give up.
Yes.
That is so great. What do you like so much about Coach Mpo?
She's a very good coach. And loves us all.
That is so good. You've got a very good coach, and she loves you all. That is so heartwarming. Let's also don't hang up the line, Khositsile. Let's also welcome to Africa at Play, Jason Maxon. Jason, good afternoon, and welcome to Africa at Play.
Hi,
How are you doing today?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good, thank you. What have you had today? What did you have for breakfast?
I ate cornflakes.
Cornflakes, are they your favorite?
Yeah.
Okay, that is so nice. When did you start playing tennis?
2021.
2021, so you've got 4 years experience playing tennis. What do you like so much about the sport?
Tennis, it's like fun and a lot of experience here.
It's fun and it gives you a lot of experience. So when last did you speak to your coach, Paul?
2 weeks back.
2 weeks back. And how did it go with your match? Did you have a good day on the court?
Yeah, good day, a good day.
Okay. Did you win your match?
Yes.
What was the score? Do you still remember?
Yeah.
What was the score?
6-3, 6-2.
6-3, 6-2. Hey, yeah, so you did have a good day. When are you going to play your next match? Do you know?
No, I don't know yet.
You don't know yet.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. We're talking to Khositsile Kutumela as well as Jason Maxon, 13-year-olds that are playing tennis. Let's welcome now to the conversation their coach to find out what are the areas of improvement. Coach Paul, good afternoon and a warm welcome to Africa at Play.
Good afternoon to the listeners and good afternoon to my two boys.
Thank you so much. Happy Africa Month to you and your two boys. Talk to us about your two boys. What are the areas of improvement? They both say they've been playing tennis since 2021, accounting 4 years experience. And thank you so much for the awesome work that you do on the courts.
There is a lot of improvement ever since they started 4 years back, and we still have a long way to go in terms of improving their skills. Their tactic is actually on the good run. So basically, we're trying to work more on their mental game, not to allow the players to get too much into their head and be able to sustain any challenges that they face. Because with our kids, when they play in tournaments, the biggest challenge that we have is parents that are sitting outside the court, especially when they are winning the matches, all the negative talks. We need to teach them to be mentally tough and to block out everything that is coming from outside the court. And from there, I think they're good to go.
And talking about those out of the court conversations that could be distracting, especially to the young ones that are still finding their feet in the sport, not only the sport of tennis, but it could be any sport really. Talk to us about your role, because not only are you their coach, but you are everything to them. You are their mentor, you are their mother, you are their teacher, you are a lot of things in one, and you've got to be stronger than them and be able to display that mental strength so that they can also grab a percentage from you to be mentally strong.
Yes, correct. You need to be mentally strong, especially when you are coaching so many kids, because we've got just over 306 players in total from the age of 5 up until your older players, and we also have some senior citizens. So when you're a parent, a guardian, a social worker, and everything for these kids, you just need to be mentally tough and mentally strong. So no matter what situations you're going through, you just need to be there for them, because remember, they're still growing. They still have growing minds. So we need to make sure that we empower them and teach them how to be mentally strong in the right way. Not throwing tantrums on court, breaking rackets and all that. We do face challenges between me and the other coaches. We make sure that whenever they go to a tournament, there is an adult that is traveling with them, so that at least they get that moral support. You know, when they play in tournaments, it's tough for them, because you find that there's only 2-3 coaches that are traveling with them, and you're playing a player that is accompanied by mom, dad, grandmom, granddad, even their dogs are there. And you find the player, it's only one player without any support. So with one supporter that is there, it encourages them. And we also taught them to try and support each other. So when one player is on court and the others are still waiting to go on court, they will all gather next to the court and try and give each other moral support, so that even in the next events, if we are not there, they're able to support and, help each other through the games.
And Coach, for those players that are not getting that support during different events of tennis, different tournaments, what conversations have you tried to have with the parents to show them the importance of supporting their kids? Because we are talking future stars here who could be doing wonders out there, as the Yannick Sinners of this world, the world number one, as a whole lot of players, your Novak Djokovic, your Serena Williams, Venus Williams, all the great stars that we know of that are doing wonders out there. Most of them have made it big because of they got this parental support from an early age, especially because, someone has to monitor this progress, and it can't just be left on the shoulders of the coach or Tennis South Africa.
You are 120% correct, because of the parental support is very important for the growth of the players, not only just to play, but also mentally. We always try and say to the parents, we do have challenges here and there in terms of transporting the players, because most of these parents, they don't work. 90% of my kids, they live with their grandparents and survive out of their grant funding. So for us to be traveling with parents, it's a little bit tricky, but it's always open for them to come and join the team and come and travel with the team. I'll give you an example. We've got, I think 2 weeks back you spoke to Unalin Nanoko, where her mom is also now starting to do coaching and traveling with the kids. Kosi Tsile's dad is also one of the parents that is traveling with the kids, driving the kids and also coaching the kids at the same time. So it is more important and very vital for parents to be part and parcel of the touring team and also support their kids, even though they're not coaching, but just to be there. Their presence, it means a lot. Because, there are parents that know that their kids play tennis, but they've never seen them play. We need to have parents that are supporting their kids, whether they are doing educational tours or they are doing sports. It's very important for the growth and the mental stability of the player.
She is the Tennis South Africa Development Manager and Coach, looking after over 300 athletes on the development stage, and that number could just be more because we know the sport of tennis is loved by many, not just in South Africa, but across the African continent and globally. That's Coach Mpho. Coach, please do stay on the line. Let's bring back to the conversation Khosi Itzile Kutumela. Khosi Itzile, we've got Coach Mpho on the line. What would you like to say to her?
I love him. Hey.
Say it again.
Love her so much.
Yeah, address her. Tell her that, Coach, I love you so much. She's listening.
Coach, I love you so much. Miss you.
I love you, my boy. Love you lots.
All right. We also have Jason Maxson, also a 13-year-old playing tennis under the mentorship of Coach Mpho. Jason, what would you like to say to Coach Mpho? She's on the line with you.
I love her also. Miss me, Coach.
Hey, Coach, what are you doing to these kids? They all love you to bits.
Hey, at the club we're not just a coach and players. We're family. So it's not only that we take care of them when they're at the courts. So that's how we actually make them feel like this is the part of the family that maybe some of them don't even get to experience. We share everything: food, balls, rackets, you name it, even shoes, because of that's part of the challenges that we're having, that most of the players don't even have shoes. So you will be surprised at a tournament where once finished playing, take off the shoes and give it to the other one to go on court and play. This is the type of the bond that we have. So to me, they are my everything. I will move the world for my kids.
Wow. Coach, when I was 13 playing soccer, table tennis and basketball, I never wanted to lose a match. And now I'm thinking of as well as Jason. What do you say to them when they didn't have a good day on the court, just to show them that it's not about losing a match, but it's about working on mastering the technique and getting comfortable, but also having fun, because at that age, they've got to have fun. And of course, if they continue with the game of tennis. They will continue to grow in the game, to grow comfortably, and one day even make it to the elite level. But of course, at their age, it's not always easy for them to understand what you and I understand. But you have it on your shoulders to always bring back that inspiration and motivation for them not to give up.
Yeah. No, from our club, we're not basically looking at results, bringing back all the wins, because of tennis is a very tough and cruel sport where there is you start as 128 players and there's only one winner. It's not like soccer where you have a draw. So you definitely need to have a win. So with our kids, what we say to them is, first thing that they need to do is to make sure that they have fun, they enjoy. Because of after enjoyment and having fun comes the wins. If you are too tense and you're not having fun, you're not going to be able to bring back the wins. For us, a win is a cherry on top. And what we request of them is one thing. Just apply whatever that you've been taught during the week on the match. If you win, good. If you don't win, it's okay. The bottom line is, did you have fun when you walk off court? And if you did have fun walking off court and you've actually applied what you've been taught, it's a win for us. That's what we want. We want them to start enjoying the game and starting having fun on court, and the win will come.
Ooh. Incredible indeed. Coach, as we wrap up this conversation, what is your parting shot? What would you like to wrap up with? But also, please do touch on what it means for these kids at a point where, for an example, at the Davis Cup, Africa at Play was broadcasting live from Pretoria, and we got to witness some of these juniors being the ball boys on the day. What does it mean to them being the ball boys to the champions that they got to witness on court?
For them, they are very fortunate enough to be selected to be one of the ball kids, and same Jason and Kositsile were part of the group that were ball kids for the World Cup, and it does motivate them. It actually gives them more courage to say, I want to be like this player. I always say to them, don't say I want to be like this player. Say I want to be better than this player. Always go one step ahead. And for them to sharing the court, sharing the stage with the big guns, it tells them that you can do it, and it motivates them. And these kids have done everything that they can to make sure that they tick all the boxes. And for being a ball kid there, it's more like to say to them, thank you for all your hard work, and let's go and see what the professionals are doing on court. And they always take a parting shot in terms of, let me take one positive thing from the Davis Cup that I saw, and I would like to discuss it on Monday with the rest of the players, and let's see how can we use what that player is using to our advantage.
Magnificent indeed. Coach, thank you so much for talking to us on Africa at Play. We will also be saying thank you to Kositsile and to Jason just after the coach. Thank you so much, Coach. Have an awesome afternoon, and thank you for the beautiful work that you do on court, developing future stars of tennis, not just in South Africa, but on the African continent.
Thanks a lot for having us and having my kids on the show. And my last word that I'd like to give a parting word to all my parents: let's keep on pushing and keep on supporting our kids.
Let's keep on pushing and keep on supporting our kids. Those are the powerful words by Coach Mpho, who is the Tennis South Africa Development Manager and a coach who looks after a massive number of young tennis players. And these are nation builders that deserves every compliment. And we say thank you for her hard work and sacrifice, making certain that she puts the sport of tennis before her own life. Let's also say thank you to Kositsile Kutumela. Kositsile, as we say thank you, what is your favorite subject at school?
My favorite subject at school is math.
Maths, so you are good with numbers?
Yes.
20 plus 27? 20 plus 27?
20 plus 27.
47. I know you are good with numbers. And who's your favorite teacher?
Teacher.
Your favorite teacher?
Memorine.
Memorine.
Yes.
What do you like so much about Memorine?
She's very kind.
She's very kind.
Yes.
And she's a good teacher, ne?
Yes.
Thank you so much for talking to us on Africa at Play. All the best with your next match. Be a good boy. Stay away from trouble.
Thank you.
Let's also say goodbye to Jason Maxon. Jason, thank you so much for talking to us on Africa at Play. As we say goodbye, what are you looking forward to when your next match comes?
Wait again?
I'm saying on your next match, what can we expect? Are you going to win your match?
Yes, I'm sure, very sure.
What do you think the score will be?
6-1.
6-6-1. Jason Maxon talking to us on Africa at Play. Jason, all the best. Stay away from trouble. Be a good boy.
Thank you.
15:25 Central African Time. That's how we wrap up our conversation with our teenagers in sport who are playing tennis under Tennis South Africa, the mother body of the sport in South Africa. It's Khositsile Kutumela and Jason Maxon, both 13-year-olds. We take a short break. When we come back, we will head straight to Lusaka, Zambia, where our correspondent Namuchana is having the conversation on wheelchair basketball in Zambia. You will remember yesterday we spoke to Charles Saunders, who is the CEO of wheelchair basketball in South Africa and doubles up as the president of the sport in Africa. It will be interesting to find out what is the status quo of wheelchair basketball in Zambia with Namuchana after the short break. Thank you for listening to Africa at Play.
The Morning Switch Weekend with the Shy Guy.
Just the other day, I went to pick up my daughter from school, and as per usual, her friends, they usually come to my car just to say hellos and goodbyes. So this particular day, they made this comment about my jacket, saying that it's giving baddie vibes.
You say my jacket is giving what?
It's giving
Baddie vibes. It got me thinking, where did the baddies come from? Because nothing is new under the sun, as it is said. I was like, oh yes, remember the Kenyan parliamentarian? Her name is Millie Odhiambo.
When you are urging me to be a good example to the girls, the younger ones who are doing their first term, Mr. Speaker, if they are good girls, they'll never get corner office. Be as bad as Millie Odhiambo, you will be the mother of this house. So do not be cheated like the African culture, where you are told have decorum, be nice. I'm telling you, you will go nowhere. Be a bad girl like me.
And I thought to myself, that is the original baddie.
Saturday and Sunday mornings belong to the Morning Switch. 3 to 6 a.m. Central African Time. No fairy tales, just the facts and the music you love on Channel Africa.
Wheelchair basketball is a dynamic and inclusive sport adapted from running basketball, designed for those with physical impairments that affect their lower limbs. Played on a regulation basketball court with similar rules, wheelchair basketball showcases fast-paced actions, skills, maneuvers, and strategic teamwork. Players use specifically designed wheelchairs that allow them to dribble, pass, shoot, and defend with agility and precision. What is the state of wheelchair basketball, and what are some of the challenges that the sport is facing? This is our question for this week, and I have with me Coach Stenge Kandala, who is a basketball coach. Coach, thank you so much for having taken time to talk to us. Coach, first things first, today we are looking at the state of wheelchair basketball. What is the state of wheelchair basketball in Africa and Zambia in particular?
The state of wheelchair basketball in Zambia is, I would say, for lack of a better term, kind of mixed. It's popular, but then again, it's not very popular. Obviously, with the Paralympic movement, there's quite a bit of a drive to get more and more differently abled people to play. But then, obviously, because of certain constraints, the game has not really taken off. Some of the major reasons the game hasn't taken off, amongst others, it really hasn't been advertised that well as the able-bodied game has. But yeah, I think in all honesty, other than Lusaka, I don't think there are many places where the game of wheelchair basketball is played. I'm yet to hear of that many, but I think looking at the concentration of people and resources, I think Lusaka might be one of the few places that wheelchair basketball is played. I don't think there's many others in the country. I could be wrong, but from what I know and from having followed wheelchair basketball myself, even as a person who coaches able-bodied basketball, I don't think there's a lot going on the Zambian scene. I know internationally there's a whole lot going, but on the Zambian scene, there isn't that much happening. Other than, I think, within Lusaka, like I said.
Coach, let's take a look at the challenges now. What are some of the challenges that wheelchair basketball basketball is currently facing?
The other challenge that I think is obvious as well is the progression. There doesn't seem to be that obvious progression like you have with the other sports. Say, for example, soccer, basketball, able-bodied basketball. You have a progression where a kid can go from if it's under 10 to U12, U14, U16, U18 to the senior level. I haven't seen that with, I don't think I've seen that with wheelchair basketball. And no, I haven't. I remember going to Malawi for the African Union Sports Council Region 5 Games, 2022 in Malawi. I didn't see anything. I saw others. I saw the athletic. I think athletics was the only one I saw amongst the physically challenged sports. I didn't see basketball. Those are youth games, so I don't remember seeing basketball there. So obviously the lack of a system of progression from one level to the next until you get to the senior level obviously poses a challenge as well. So yeah, it would be nice. I've seen it in other countries where I've been. People start a little bit earlier and they get interested in the sport, but I haven't seen that in Zambia, which is a bit sad because I think there's a lot more people that would want to play the sport, but obviously the progression just isn't there.
Do you think that stigma has contributed to the people who are physically challenged not to develop interest in the sport of wheelchair basketball?
The biggest one, other than the funding, is just the stigma and awareness. Too many able-bodied people have these funny notions about going to watch physically challenged sports or taking an interest in them, which I think is very sad because there's a whole load of potential. The West has a very seriously developed wheelchair basketball system, where they have all these leagues and there are championships and you see serious crowds in these halls and people are playing, but we don't have that here. No, we don't have. And obviously, like I alluded to earlier, the lack of infrastructure, proper infrastructure where people can go play the game, express themselves, feel safe, that just doesn't exist. I think one of the few places where wheelchair basketball is played, I don't even know if it's played at Nasdaq, but I know there's a place in Lusaka where people play it. I'm not sure where it is, but I don't think it's Nasdaq. Could be. So yeah, that amount of lack of infrastructure, the stigma, the awareness, it's such things that really just pose serious challenges to the sport. Otherwise, it's a great sport. It's great to watch. For me, who has a proper basketball background, I enjoy what these guys do, what they get up to.
Coach, of all the challenges sporting codes face, we know that a lot of them are struggling with the financial issues. Do you think that the price of wheelchairs has had a negative impact on the growth of wheelchair basketball?
There are many challenges facing wheelchair basketball. I think the biggest one is funding, which I think is what it boils down to in most cases. Funding rules every single sport that there is. But obviously with wheelchair basketball, because it uses specially adapted wheelchairs for the game, it puts it out of the price range of most people. The wheelchairs, like I said, are specially adapted. It's not easy to get one. It isn't. It's quite difficult and they're quite expensive because if you see the rate at which or the way guys make their twists, their turns, they speed up and down the court, a normal wheelchair won't do. It's like the ones that they use for the races and the marathons in the Paralympics. So I think that is one of the major ones. Obviously the wheelchair. Two, there's the infrastructure and accessibility to such infrastructure. The game can be played outdoors, but when you start looking at when guys bump into each other and wheelchairs topple over, it then becomes more feasible to play the game on an indoor court than an outdoor court. Obviously, because you want to restrict the level and the frequency of injuries. You want to restrict those. You want to make sure that as people get physical with each other, which I've seen games become quite physical, you don't want them hurting each other. Yeah, I think that's number two. Number three is the lack of, I think, even just media coverage. Differently challenged sports tend to have not that great media coverage. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe because we don't have such a large following. Because I've seen even the bodybuilding, the differently abled bodybuilding. Most sports that are geared towards the differently abled, you will only hear of them when maybe there's a special event, like a day commemorating that, when the Olympics come. unlike the able-bodied one. So I think that also poses a challenge, because I think if there was more media coverage, more people would be exposed to the sport. Obviously, the greater the exposure, the more the interest, the more resources pour in. But I think the media also really needs to take an active role in ensuring that there's that much more coverage for chair basketball.
Coach, thank you so much for having taken time to talk to us on Channel Africa today. The views of Coach Stenge Kandala, who is a basketball coach, giving us his views on our topic today. We were looking at the state of wheelchair basketball on the African continent. For Channel Africa Sports, Namchana from Zambia.
Africa at Play with Neto and Neto Chemane. Weekends just got better. Only on Channel Africa. The platform. It's an opportunity with 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle. We deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa. Partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa. Partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa. Partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international
African
station.
time. This is Africa at Play. If you have just joined us, a very warm welcome to Africa at Play. This is a legendary song by a legendary artist on the African continent, Letambulu, who was born on the 23rd of August 1942, a South African jazz singer who has been active since the 1960s. And this time around, she says there's music in the air, and there's something so special about music that is so healing to different people that listens to music. And before that, we played you Zonke Dikana, Soul to Keep, featuring Questa. It's now time to welcome our correspondent from Lusaka, Zambia, Namuchana. So Namuchana, a very good afternoon and a warm welcome to Africa at Play.
Yeah, good afternoon, Neto, and great music there from Letambulu, and what a blockbuster. An odd tune, but still giving us that vibe to listen to music. A fantastic song there.
Indeed, and music is therapy, and indeed music is therapy. Let's talk about the under-20 women. What have you witnessed on the ground in as far as Team Zambia is concerned?
Yeah, and it is so heartwarming to note that the under-17 actually they won the COSAFA title yesterday, and they have done so back-to-back, and this is the third time that they are winning it. It goes to show how much the Football Association of Zambia has put into the development of women football, and I can safely say and tell you, Neto, that there is no doubt the women football in Zambia is growing, and I never anticipated that they were going to win the COSAFA yesterday, taking into consideration that they were playing in one of the toughest opponents, Malawi. You know that the Malawi girls, they also play good football. So we only hope that going forward, we are going to see more and more investment into women football, and on top of that, they have indeed qualified to the World Cup, and they are going to represent NATO. They are going to represent this country at the World Cup. So it is something that is so fulfilling, and the dreams of a lot of our girls they're coming through. And we only hope they're not going to disappoint Africa at the under 17 FIFA Women's World Cup to be hosted by Morocco from the 17th of August to the 8th of November 2025. Neto, you are aware, it's not only Zambia that will be at the under 17 Women FIFA World Cup, but they will represent this country, this continent alongside Morocco, Cameroon, Ivory Coast, and Nigeria. And indeed, it is that time of the day that I'm sure each and every Zambian out there is feeling good. They're happy that the team has made the country proud. And kudos to the coach, Karo Kanyemba. She has done a fantastic job. There is nothing that can be taken away from her, Neto.
And talking about the under-17, Senamuchana, when it comes to women's football in Zambia, and all big ups to FAZ, the Football Association of Zambia, for investing in women's football. We've seen with the Copper Queens being able to book a spot at the Olympics on back-to-back occasions. When the under-17s are doing well regionally and continentally, being able to conquer the COSAFA Cup and also being able to qualify for the World Cup, it's also good, because then it means the under-20 will never run dry, the Copper Queens will never run dry. So it becomes a cycle of graduating from one age group to the other until you make it to the elite level. So it is good for women's football on the African continent indeed, and we wish them all the best when they go to Morocco in August. Let's also talk about Power Dynamos that have done wonders to make certain that they are crowned the champions of the Zambian Super League. But before we do that, let's take a short break.
What does Africa's future look like? And are we bold enough to shape it? Okay. Join Channel Africa and the Thabo Mbeki Foundation for the 15th Africa Day Lecture. Live from the iconic Julius Nyerere International Convention Center in Dar es Salaam on Saturday, 24th of May from 3 to 6 p.m. Central African Time. This year's theme, the state of the continent and reigniting the African Renaissance. Expect bold ideas, visionary leaders, and the spark to reignite Africa's future. Be part of the conversation only on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Find us on SABC Plus and on www.channelafrica.co.za. Africa at Play with Neto, Neto Chemane.
15:52 Central African Time. You are still tuned in to Africa at Play, the continent's best sport and music destination. We are live every Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time on DSTV Audio Bouquet Channel 802 or OpenView 628 if you are based in South Africa. Alternatively, you can access us from anywhere you are on channelafrica.co.za, also available on SABC Plus. We still have Namuchana, our correspondent based in Lusaka, Zambia, on the line. So Namuchana, Power Dynamos crowned the champions of the Zambian Super League after 34 matches have been played in a league that comprises 18 teams in total, and the league is done and dusted. Zesco United occupied the second position, with Nkana occupying the third. Power Dynamos on 68 points, Zesco 63 and Nkana 58. A difference of 5 points between the team on the summit, Power Dynamos, the new champs, and Zesco United with 63 points. Difference of 5 points. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll tell you, Neto, that a powerful Power Dynamos, and have played scintillating football the whole season. Okay, this is the team that was not even conceding goals anyhow. I can tell you, Neto, that there was a time that Power Dynamos went to play about 12 games, and in those 12 games, Neto, they only conceded 2 goals and they scored 22 goals. So you can see that they were not allowing goals anyhow. They had a solid defense, very tight, and at the same time, they had a sharp striking force. It's only that they could have amassed a lot of points. They would have amassed a lot of points But due to the fact that they drew a lot of games, that's how they finished at 68 points. They were being chased closely by Zesco United, which will represent this country in the Confederations Cup, while Nkana, they came out third. At some point, Neto, I'll tell you, everyone thought that maybe Nkana, they were going to lift the Zambian League for the 14th time. You are aware that this is the only club in Zambia that has lifted the Zambian League 13 times, and everybody is lagging behind. And when it comes to Power Dynamos, I think they are getting it for the 9th time now. So they are nowhere near the record numbers of Nkana Football Club. So we only hope that the Power Dynamos are going to represent this country well when it comes to continental football. And that's all you know that continental football, that is where you meet the best of the best. And for you to beat other teams on the African continent, you just need to be at your very best, or else you might be kicked out in the knockout stages of the CAF Champions League. We only hope the principals at the Power Dynamos Football Club, they will be able to sit down to see the areas where they're lacking, where they feel they should strengthen the squad, so that by the time they go into continental football, they will represent this country well. I can tell you, Neto, that the last time Power Dynamos represented this country in the CAF Champions League, they were kicked out actually in the first round, and that never sat well with the Zambian soccer fans, who felt they didn't do justice to Zambian football. We only hope this time around they're going to account themselves. Yeah, they will account themselves well. They are going to represent this country well and progress to at least even the quarterfinals or the semi-finals of the CAF Champions League. And the last time we had the Zambian team going as far as the semi-finals of the CAF Champions League, it was the Zesco United Football Club. So we only hope Power Dynamos will do something that are going to follow in the footsteps of Zesco United.
So Namuchana, talking about continental football, the Africa Cup of Nations Under-20 is coming to a conclusion later today, where we will get to see Nigeria playing against Egypt in the losers final, fighting for the third place bronze medal. But South Africa will be up against Morocco in the final at 2000, with the losers final scheduled for 1700. Your thoughts on youth football on the African continent? Unfortunately, Team Zambia is not represented in this last four.
Yeah, Neto, the matter is we may be disappointed as Zambians that our team was kicked out in the group stages. They finished on 6 points, and all they needed was just 1 point for them to proceed to the quarterfinals. But unfortunately, the 6 points wasn't good enough for them to proceed. What I've noticed about youth football on the African continent, they're a marvel to watch. When you are watching our young people play football, you can't believe that this is Africa. We have been watching, be it the under-17 or AFCON under-20. I've just enjoyed all the matches there. And we only hope that the principles of the game on the African continent will be able to nurture this talent going forward. Like we spoke last time, why is it that we do well from the under-20s, under-17, under-15, and under-23s, but when it comes to senior teams, we fail to conquer the world? What is the problem? So, like I'm saying, I only hope that this should be the beginning of good things. And I'm rooting for South Africa. Being somebody who comes from Southern Africa, I would love, really, I would love to see South Africa lift the trophy and bring it here, so that at least we can celebrate. But I know it won't be an easy game for them. They are playing in Morocco, and Morocco, they play a fast game. They attack a lot using the wings. They are also a bit solid and tight in defense. And I only hope the coaching staff of South Africa, they know what it takes, and they have planned for this game. Otherwise, all of us, we can't wait to watch the final between South Africa and Morocco. And my heart is telling me that the young Bafana, they should be able to beat Morocco and bring it home. And my own advice to the coaching staff, if they're able to hear me, Neto, is that they let them hit Morocco in the first 20 minutes, because if they are going to allow Morocco to score first, that will bring a lot of problems to the South Africans. You are aware that our colleagues from the north, once they score you first, it becomes a problem for you to equalize. So I only hope the South African team, they have put all this in mind. They are tactically prepared for this game. Otherwise, we can't wait to watch the final.
Namuchana is our correspondent from Lusaka, Zambia, talking to us about all things African sport. So Namuchana, thank you so much for your contribution to Africa at Play. Have an awesome afternoon.
Yeah, thank you so much, Neto, and thank you for having me. We are all wishing the South Africa under-20 national soccer team all the very best as they take on Morocco today.
1600 Central African Time. That's the conclusion of our conversation with our Zambian correspondent, Namuchana, talking all things Zambian and African sport. We will be talking to the legend of football, Idema Foludu Godwin, who was born on the 8th of May 1970, a Nigerian former footballer who played as a midfielder. After the short break.
The Midnight Snack, 12 to 3 a.m.
Interracial relationships. And now you are based in the States and you are married to a beautiful white woman, white lady.
I learned that, for us in our culture, we literally can speak our mind. I remember when we started dating and whatnot, and, she picked up like a little bit of weight. And me, I was like, oh, wow, you must be happy in this relationship because look at you. You look great. You're even picking up some weight. And she got really, really offended. And it took I think it was about a couple of hours before I could realize that, because I could tell that she was off after that. And it took me a while to figure out what it was. Until later when I was talking to her, I'm like, you're really, really off today. And then she expressed that, yeah, because you're telling me that I'm picking on some weight. And I'm like, in my culture, when you are gaining some weight, it means you're happy. Yes. So that's what I was trying to imply.
The Midnight Snack, every Monday, 12 to 3 a.m. with Chanduko Ligege.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
Nous allons accueillir sur ces plateaux de Mix Vibration un artiste pas comme les autres. Il est exceptionnel. Il se classe résolument dans la trajectoire des artistes qui défendent le patrimoine du folklore africain, mais aussi de la rumba. Ici, Jérémy Chani.
En tout cas, je vous dis merci à la Channel Africa, à tout le monde qui nous suit. Dans la vie, si tu veux aller loin, il faut comprendre les temps. Il y a ceux-là qui étaient dans leur temps, mais à cause d'une mauvaise conduite, à cause des gens qui l'accompagnait, à cause de sa famille, à cause beaucoup de choses, son temps passé.
Voilà, donc il faut toujours gérer le temps. Chaque chose a son temps, dit-on, et la couronne ne dure pas éternellement, dit-on. Donc il faut toujours gérer le temps que Dieu vous a donné sur la terre. C'est le message que Jérémy Chani nous amène aujourd'hui sur Mix Vibration à Channel Africa.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
Africa at Play with Neto and Neto Chemane.
16:03 Central African Time. If you have just joined us, a happy Africa Month and a warm welcome to Africa at Play. We are live every Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time on DSTV Audio Bouquet Channel 802 or OpenView 628 if you are in South Africa. Alternatively, you can reach us from anywhere you are online on channelafrica.co.za, also available on SABC+. We now welcome to Africa at Play the great legend of football, Idema Godwin Foludu, who was born on the 8th of May 1970, a Nigerian former footballer who played as a midfielder. He played club football for New Nigerian Bank, BCC Lions and Julius Berger in Nigeria and Altay in Turkey, and played internationally for the Nigeria national team. He was part of the Super Falcons squad for the 1994 African Cup of Nations. Foludu also served as the head coach of Warri Wolves. Mr. Foludu, good afternoon and a warm welcome to Africa at Play.
Good afternoon, Neto. Nice to hear your voice today. How are you?
I'm super good. Thank you so much for connecting with us on Africa at Play. Happy Africa Month.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's get on to it. Let's talk about Mr. Fuludu as a young boy going to school for the very first time. Was that the time when you first met the soccer ball, or when precisely did you meet the soccer ball?
In my my primary school level, I played for the primary school first level. You know, in Nigeria then, it was 6 years in the primary school, okay? So when I was in primary 2, primary 3, I started playing for the school football team as under 11, under 10s. And then I knew that I had soccer intelligence, and I was technically good at that age. So going to the secondary school, it became a life opportunity because, you know, there was corporal punishment in schools those days where you have to cut the grass for being unruly, where you have to cut the grass if you come late to school. But I had to pass through those things without doing that. Why? They saw me play football, and I became a member of the under-13 football team. And so that's how my football started. And then the streets, we played on the streets. We played in our area. We played, you know, matches together. And then I was known at street level at under 13 before, you know, going to the university later on.
It is an interesting journey indeed. If you have just joined us, we are talking to the football legend from West Africa, Nigeria, Mr. Edima Godwin Fuludu, who played for the Nigerian Super Falcons, who was part of the 1994 team, and he played for a variety of teams, including a team in Turkey called Altay. Mr. Fuludu, let's talk about playing as a midfielder. What's so special about playing in the middle of the park? Because most players that are excelling there, they always get praises because of they are in a position where they are able to dribble versus those that plays in defense, which is the danger zone. You dribble, you concede goal, it will be all eyes on you and all fingers on you. And also as a striker, if you're going to start dribbling when you could have beaten the defender and the goalkeeper, then a lot of people will start pointing fingers at you. What's so special about playing in the middle of the park?
The midfield is usually the engine room of a football team. You know that. The midfield is the engine room. Once the midfield is lost, be sure that your team has lost the game. And so, but originally I was playing from the flanks as an outside right, a right-wing player. But in my university days, I met a coach, Coach Godwin Zillian, who became a father figure and a mentor. And he now said, no, you're technically strong. Come into the midfield and change my team for me. And I did try it at the university level, and I became a midfield player. So getting invitation to the national team later, I was a full midfield player. I can play attacking midfield, I can play defensive midfield. But for you to be a good midfield player, you have to have good techniques. You have to have stamina. You have to have strength. You have to be able to run all over the place. And so when you play football as a midfielder, eyes are on you. For those who watch the game, different from those who see the game, you know there's a difference? Those who watch the game just watch it for fun. They see the technically good players. They see the dribblings. They watch it. But those who see the game are actually coaches who say that players play tactically to the advantage of the team. So we in the midfield are entertainers. Entertainers who must do the work to make sure the team wins. If you cannot give the strikers good quality passes, your team cannot actually win. So you can help also to defend, you know, make your defensive back strong enough. So that's why I say the engine room is a strong part of the team, and it's the very important pivot of making a team win. We that played in the midfield, I can tell you, I was in midfield with somebody like Olise, okay, Sonny Olise. I was in midfield with JJ Okocha. I've played in midfield with people like that, and I know that for you to be among such a pack, you have to be technically strong. So the midfield is the engine room, and it's better for all of us and those who watch the game.
Incredible indeed. We are talking to Edima Godwin Fuludu, a Nigerian former footballer, a legend indeed in this game. He's played the game at an elite level, and he's also been on the hot seat as a coach, and we're still going to unpack all of that. Coach, let's also talk about your football playing days in club football. Where did you enjoy the most, having played for a variety of clubs?
Yes, you know, New Nigeria Bank of Benin was my first big club. in Benin City, Nigeria. Then it was Bender State. And then I became captain of that team, having just left university. It tells you a lot too that, okay, at that point, I'm being modest, that for a young player from university to come and captain a first division team tells a lot. And then having left New Nigeria Bank, I went to BCC Lions of Boko, where I won the Mandela Cup in 1990. Remember Mandela then? The cup was Cup Winners' Cup, now became Mandela Cup, the hero of Africa. So I was privileged to be one of those who first won it. And it means at club level, you know, we had a lot of team spirit, a lot of enjoyment, a lot of fun, a lot of hard work. And we traveled the whole of Africa. You know, when you play club level football and you have people who have, you know, the desire to win, get your objectives achieved, you have to work very hard. We were working very hard. We were traveling, and that was the fun in it. And then you do what you are happy to do. That is life.
That is life, and that's according to Mr. Idima Godwin Fuludu, who is a Nigerian legend when we talk the beautiful game of football, who's played for the 1994 Africa Cup of Nations Super Falcon squad, and this squad was very special. We're going to find out why the squad was very special after this short break. Coach, please do stay on the line.
Thank you. I'll correct on that.
180 minutes on the world of sports and music. That's Africa at Play with Neto Chemane on Channel Africa from an African perspective. What does Africa's future look like? And are we bold enough to shape it? Okay. Join Channel Africa and the Thabo Mbeki Foundation for the 15th Africa Day Lecture. Live from the iconic Julius Nyerere International Convention Center in Dar es Salaam on Saturday, 24th of May from 3 to 6 p.m. Central African Time. This year's theme, the state of the continent and reigniting the African Renaissance. Expect bold ideas, visionary leaders, and the spark to reignite Africa's future. Be part of the conversation only on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Find us on SABC Plus and on www.channelafrica.co.za. Africa at Play with Neto Chemane.
16:11 Central African Time. If you have just tuned in, thank you for choosing Africa's number one. This is Africa at Play. We are live every Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time on DSTV Audio Bouquet Channel 802 or OpenView 628 if you are based in South Africa. Alternatively, you can access us online from anywhere you are on channelafrica.co.za. Also available on SABC Plus. We are in the middle of an incredible football conversation with a football legend, Idima Godwin Fuludu, born on the 8th of May 1970, a Nigerian former footballer who played as a midfielder. He played club football for New Nigerian Bank, BCC Lions, and Julius Berger in Nigeria, and Altay in Turkey, and also played internationally for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, having won the Africa Cup of Nations in 1994, beating Zambia in the final. And Mr. Fuludu also has served as a head coach for Wari Wolves. Coach, what did you study in university?
I read business administration, and then when I came back from my professional football career, I went back to do my master's in business administration. And I've had to go to youth courses on management, leadership, and all stuff, and coaching courses. And today I'm also the Nigerian Football Federation CAF instructor. They call us coach educators now.
Great indeed. Yeah. Let's talk about 1994. You were part of the Super Eagles winning team that beat Zambia in the final. How was that AFCON for Mr. Fuludu?
That final was historic. It was one final that Africa actually wanted the Zambian team to win. You know why? You know, prior to that match, the Zambians lost a generation of their players, and we did feel sorry for them. You know, in 1993, that plane crash that killed a whole lot of them. And so there was sympathy for the Zambians. And they wanted them to actually win, you know, in Tunisia 94. But we had a good team. In fact, we had the best in Africa then. We had top scorers like Yekini, we had Amunike, we had Ulisse, we had JJ Okocha, we had Austin Iguavon, the current technical director of the Nigerian Football Federation. We have late Stephen Keshi, we have Uche Okechukwu, a whole lot of squad that was strong and beautiful. And so we had to win because Nigeria needed the cup and we, the players, also needed the glory. Wonderful game, but we won.
Yeah, you've taken me back to great legends, the likes of JJ Okocha, one who is loved by many, not just on the African continent, but globally as well. The likes of Austin Iguavone, who is also playing an important role in Nigerian football. But hey, Rashid Yekini in front of goal, he was a real lion, never shy to pass the net. Yeah. So you've really mentioned a number of good legends, and the likes of Stephen Keshi, may his soul indeed rest in peace. And coming to 1996, unfortunately, the Super Eagles of Nigeria couldn't make it to South Africa due to the political tension and the political reasons. And everyone wanted the Super Eagles in South Africa, but it wasn't to be. And the host country, South Africa, triumphed that Africa Cup of Nations. How did you feel in camp knowing that you were supposed to come and defend what you've triumphed 2 years back in Tunisia, North Africa, and you couldn't come to Southern Africa because of politics?
And let me tell you, we would have won in 1996. I was talking with John Moshe Shu, may his soul rest in peace. I was talking with him in Turkey. He was playing in Turkey then too. And I said, you're lucky. You're lucky that the Super Eagles did not come to South Africa. He said, no, we would have killed you there too. That's our home. We joked about it. But the truth is that politics actually came into sports and it was bad. We had a military government. And then, for me, politics is good, but if it doesn't bring peace and happiness, it's not good. And sports is supposed to make sure that, there's inclusivity, there's happiness, bring people together more and more. And that was what the football was supposed to do. And so we felt very bad that, Nigeria didn't go to South Africa. And I'm sure that South Africa will not have won that cup. But, good for them. Unfortunate for us. I felt bad. We trained for it. We were getting prepared to go, and then government says don't go. What can we do? After God is government.
And I so wish Team Nigeria made it to South Africa. You have mentioned one other legend, John Shoes Moshwewu. May his soul rest in peace. This is one guy who was very instrumental in the middle of the park, in the same position that you play in with the likes of JJ Okocha. It was John Shoes Moshwewu. It was the likes of Dr. Kumalo in those midfield positions. And he scored a brace when Bafana beat Ghana 3-0 in the semi-finals, heading to that final in 1996. And I was just thinking, where are the Super Eagles when needed the most?
John Moshe Shu was a magic. He, no doubt, wonderful and great player. He's technically strong. And he has a lot of strength. He's stamina. He has vision. He was a wonderful player. These are players you just don't forget in a hurry. And, he was instrumental to making sure that South Africa lifted that cup. But South Africa is coming of age now in football. Today they will be playing the finals of the U20. So kudos to South African football. Kudos for development of football. Kudos for bringing their boys up more and more. But Nigeria has always been a superpower. Unfortunately, we still need to work hard because there are no minors in the game again. But thanks to, great players that you can pick from the pack who can make things happen in a team. See one or two once in a while in South Africa, but you see a whole bunch in Nigeria. That's the difference.
If you have just joined us, we are talking to the football great Idima Godwin-Fuludu from Nigeria, who was part of the 1994 Super Eagles team that beat Zambia in the final and also couldn't make it, unfortunately, to South Africa to come and defend their title in 1996 due to political reasons. We have lost that line to the great legend, but worry not, we will take a short break and we will reconnect with the great football legend Idima Godwin-Fuludu, who was born on the 8th of May 1970, a Nigerian former footballer who played as a midfielder, and for club football he played for the likes of New Nigerian Bank, BCC Lions and Julius Berger in Nigeria. and Altay in Turkey, where he got to rub shoulders with John Shoes Moshewu, who also played in Turkey during the same years and also played internationally for the Nigeria national team, the Super Eagles. In 1994, he was part of the winning team that beat Zambia 2-1 in the final, and that event was an exciting one because Ivory Coast secured a third place after beating Mali in the third place match, which placed them fourth. So football was indeed very exciting back in the days where I believe that the players had more room to do their thing on the field of play in terms of displaying their skills and talent. But we will reconnect with the legend to conclude our conversation accordingly. For now, let's take you to the match between Brentford and Fulham, where Fulham is leading Brentford by 1-0, and this match is live on SABC3, well known as S3.
They used a lot when the sides faced each other back in November, a night on which Fulham put 43 crosses into the Brentford box, and they paid off at the very end of the game with those two late Harry Wilson goals.
So well this season out there, Lewis Potter, hasn't he? With Rico Henry injured and played left wing back or left full back, he's done really well.
That is the match between Brentford and Fulham in the Premier League in the United Kingdom, and Fulham is leading the proceedings by 1-0 after 20 minutes of football has been played. Let's welcome back the great football legend to the conversation, Idima Godwin Fuludu, all the way from Nigeria, and sincere apologies for that line cut off due to network, which is indeed beyond our control. But we've done our best to reconnect with the great football legend because our juicy conversation was not done as yet. Welcome back, Coach, to the conversation. Thank you so much for being back on Africa at Play.
Thank you very much. I'm here with you.
Thank you indeed. And moving on from 1996, you continued playing the beautiful game of football, but you've also made it to the hot seat as a coach. What drew your attention to coaching?
Well, you see, when you play the game, everybody cannot become a coach. But when you play the game, there are certain things you need to understand. Apart from the motivation to, groom other young players, stars that are coming up, you need to also have impact. Most often, you have impact as a coach or as an administrator or in any other form you want to, make it to become an impact in the game. So, at a point, I decided I need to coach. So I went to Holland, to the KNVB, did a coaching course, came back, coached Bendel Insurance, a foremost team in Nigeria and Edo State. And then I also coached Warri Wolves. When you coach players, you see that what you experienced, you want others to experience it, but in a positive light, where you are happy to see a young lad you have taught some few tricks, grow up, get matured in the game, and then begin to experience what is good for his life and turn around, the society as a model that people can emulate. That is basically it. But you see, in Africa and most times in my country, administration, even though it's improving now, has made the game not to grow the way we expect it to grow. Unpaid salaries, coaches being owed, players not happy. These are the drawbacks we face most times. But all in all, you said, why did I go into coaching? I wanted to understand the rudiments of coaching, different from when you are playing. It's two different balls entirely. You may have played the game to the highest level, but you also may not understand the rudiments concerning coaching, which you must understand. And when I went to coaching course, I did see these things, which we now try to put to the young lads for them to have proper knowledge of the game.
Proper knowledge of the game. That's Coach Foludu talking to us on Africa at Play, a Nigerian former footballer who was part of the 1994 AFCON winning team in Tunisia, beating Zambia in the final. And there was also Cote d'Ivoire that made it to that semi-final, and they played against Mali, beating them in the third place playoff, fighting for the bronze medallion. And of course, the Super Eagles walked away with the golden medallion. Coach, you've highlighted some of the challenges, and my next question was going to be, when you look at the population of Nigeria, over 200 million citizens in Nigeria, and that makes it relevant for Nigeria to produce baskets and baskets of great football talent. But unfortunately, it is not being witnessed on the field of play, where we can talk Nigeria as a superpower that we've known it to be. I was born only in 1980, and in the 90s I was a teenager, and I was glued to football on the African continent, and that's how I know these legends that I was tabling earlier on, because I was following the game of football from an early age. But now, what I've seen in the 90s from those greats in football, including yourself, I am no longer seeing when it comes to the Super Eagles, but I know that is not a true reflection of the Super Eagles. What could be the stumbling block? But you've also mentioned there are no longer minnows in African football, or global football, if you like.
Yes, when you take, preparation for games and development for granted, you don't get good results. In the short term, you may have some good results and be happy, but in the long run, you won't have what is actually the desired result you expect. That is why, we have a large pool, like you said, 200 million. There's a large pool of talents available, but we need to develop them in the right way. Like I told you, when I was coming up, we played a lot of street football. We played a lot of school football. But these are not lacking in our system. We've cut off from school football, less of street football. And so you don't have people who actually, have this innate ability, inimitable, inborn, that wants to develop, and they don't have the means, the platform. Academies are not well prepared. And if you have coaches who don't know what they are doing, then you cannot have future stars growing up. Sometimes I heard a quote that says that it is better, I think Arsene Wenger also said to say, it is better not to have a coach at grassroots level who knows nothing than to have a coach. It is better to have a coach. It's better not to have a coach who knows nothing at the grassroots level than to have somebody who, let somebody else just do the job. Because that is the foundation of football development. And you need people like that to grow. So we need people who are trained, but we lack this training of coaches who understand the rudiments, how FIFA wants it. We need to develop more of them so that we can play modern football at that level. So the pocket of people you see, players you see who come from Nigeria, is minimal these days. Even though we are supposed to have more talents to come into the world stage. However, I think that we're not having coaching courses at different levels to train instructors, to train coaches who will be able to go back to the grassroots level and bring them. I tell you that in another 5-10 years, we'll go back to where we're coming from and become tops in Africa.
That's the voice of Idima Godwin Foludu, a great footballer who played at an elite level for a variety of clubs, including his stint in Turkey, where he played for Altay, but also represented the national team of Nigeria proudly, the Super Eagles, and he was part of the 1994 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON winning team. And he says if it wasn't for political reasons, the Super Eagles would have came to South Africa, and South Africa wouldn't have tasted the African glory who have won the Africa Cup of Nations on home soil in 1996. And this is so exciting. It's just a pity we can't turn back the hands of time. Coach, thank you so much for your time on Africa at Play. It is a great conversation indeed. It's just a time being jealousy of our good conversation.
Thank you, Neto. Good talking with you. I hope we talk some other time. I say goodbye to the audience and listeners. May they have a good, happy Sunday.
Thank you so much, Coach. It's indeed good connecting with you, and I'm looking forward to our near future conversation.
Thank you.
16:28 Central African Time. That was the football legend, the great, who has represented Africa very well, having represented the Super Eagles of Nigeria, winning the Africa Cup of Nations back in 1994. 2 years before, Bafana Bafana came on board to win their first ever Africa Cup of Nations in 1996. And it was indeed an incredible conversation. It's time for Africa and the world to dance, because music is therapy.
That speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other: Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other: Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent. African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices. English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity.
To X-Wise, this is Africa at Play. Let's now take you back to the match between Brentford and Fulham. The match that is currently on 34 minutes of football that has been played, and it's live on S3 or SABC3. Let's take you to the live action.
Doesn't feel as if we've seen Robinson make as many of these kind of runs so far this afternoon. He looks to clip up across it, seeking Raul Jimenez. Lukic heads it back in. Traore uses his body well, and he manages to flick an effort towards goal, but it didn't carry enough pace on it to worry Mark Flecken.
Danger signs there again, though. Lewis Potter got bullied off the ball there. In that sense, he's not a natural defender. He's a lot better on the ball. He is at his defending position. He's going to have his hands full today, but in those positions he's got to do a little bit better. But just spun and got his volley in there, Traore, but no power in it.
1-1 as it stands. 35 minutes of football has been played. This is the Premier League match between Brentford and Fulham. There's a whole lot of matches taking place as the leagues around the world are concluding. It's time for sports news. If you have just joined us, a warm welcome to Africa at Play. Kicking off with football news. Amajita head coach Raymond Mdaka has welcomed the broadcast confirmation of the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON final between the South African national team and their Moroccan counterparts at the 30th June Stadium this evening. Until recently, South Africans have only been watching Amajita matches on YouTube, but tonight's final, starting at 2000 Central African Time, will be live on SABC Sport on TTT Channel 4, also available on SABC+. Mdaka says being watched by the whole nation will inspire this team.
Yes, to the camp, but mostly to the country, South Africa, because you know how vast the country is. Some are in the furthest rural areas where the network is not fine, so they will always be asking, where do we watch the game, how do we watch the game, and also I think it's good for the country, good for our football. Also good for the players because their parents and everybody will be able to watch the game, and it's a motivation to be seen in that kind of a stage. It's the biggest stage in football, more especially in our continent, getting to the World Cup. So I think it's a very positive and a very good idea that is giving confidence to everybody.
With most of the team's players coming from villages and townships, watching through live streams is not usually ideal for connecting purposes. The thought of being watched by the whole nation excites Amajita goalkeeper Fletcher as they look to make history in tonight's final.
Yeah, obviously, I think this doesn't really add any extra pressure, but what it does do is it allows the nation to see what we've been working on, how we were progressing from strength to strength, and show them that we deserve to be, and we're good ambassadors for our country.
Mdaka has also revealed that the team has not been at its usual best in the past 2 matches against the Democratic Republic of Congo and Nigeria, having battled with running stomachs possibly caused by food poisoning. But he says the team has recovered now and expects them to be in a very good condition for the final.
Yeah, it is. We didn't want to put fingers or point fingers at anything, but I think the game that we played against Nigeria and DRC, a number of the personnel, we had a problem with the running stomach. Even me, when we played DRC, it wasn't easy, but we thank a lot to the medical team. They've been up and down during the night and they're trying to help. And as I checked this morning, I think, yes, we still have some little doubts here and there in terms of the readiness of other players because of that. But we have been told by the medical team that is something that we should not worry about, and will definitely be okay, everybody, to showcase in tomorrow's game.
Mdaka is expecting an exciting game against one of the most exciting teams in this tournament and the unbeaten team until now.
Looking forward for a final, and the final will remain to be the final. It's not a game of points, it's a game of results, but at the same time, playing in the final is a motivation to the players themselves. Would wish if we could have a challenging, very difficult, but a positive game where we could see good football from the players to showcase what they can do as individual and also what they can do as a team. We're playing a very difficult team, very strong team, well organized, good football, too technical, tactical, so it's going to be a challenge. But as a team, obviously, we have to see how we compete in that environment.
Still with football news, Everton closed the book on 133 years at Goodison Park with a 2-0 win against Southampton, netting both goals. Iliman Ndiaye had the accolade of being the final ever Premier League scorer at the famous stadium on an emotional afternoon. A sun-drenched carnival atmosphere tinged the sadness gave way to a purposeful start from Everton, and barely a minute after Beto was denied a one-handed save from Aaron Ramsdale, the Toffees were up and running. With Everton having seen a 2-0 home lead against Bournemouth, Manchester United and Ipswich Town fall by the wayside earlier this season, there was still room for some trepidation amongst the Goodison faithful as the second half unfolded. In athletics news, World Under-20 bronze medalist Brett Lingwana may be facing challenges with his individual performances, but his impact in South Africa's men's 4x100-meter relay team remains invaluable. The 20-year-old speed star runs the crucial third leg, handing the baton to team captain and anchor Akani Simbine to bring the race home. The relay team features Simbine, Bayanda Walaza and Sinesi Potambile, with Nkwana being the only member yet to break the 10-second barrier this season. Still, he thrives in the relay setup where the team dynamic brings out his best. Nkwana credits Simbine's leadership and support for creating an environment where he feels confident and motivated.
AK is big bro. He's big bro, so he's always mentoring me. He's always making sure that I make the best decisions when it comes to my career. You know, he's also still paving the way for me, especially on the world stage. Every race in China this year, he won it. The 2 Diamond Leagues and now the World Relays from the heats to the final. It just shows that he wants us to be heading in that direction. And I really appreciate him. I truly do, and I always seek guidance from him. I always seek advice from him. And, he always made sure that doors open for me to him. So
the Mabopane-born sprinter raised his grandparents after losing his mother, told SABC Sport that his strong bond with Simbine comes from mutual understanding.
I think, like I said earlier in the season, it's planning. It's planning. Only now I'm starting to get into my shape. So earlier in the season, when people were running fast, I was still building up with my training. I was still doing off-season work. So what you guys seen there, it wasn't my full potential. It wasn't my best. And I also made mistakes here and there. And, that's part of the game. You learn, you pick up where you left off and, capitalize on what you can change. So right now, I'm getting into the hang of things. It's just that you guys saw it at the relay, so now it's time I show it on the circuit on the individual level. But like I said, I've always been there. I've always been there. I went to World Juniors. I did my best, and God did not want me to get a gold medal, but He made sure that I walk out in that championship with a medal, and I'm really grateful for that. So that also shows that I'm not just a relay runner. I'm individual runner, and everybody has their own time, own pace, all working at our own.
And finally, in motorsport, Argentine Formula One rookie Franco Colapinto has urged his fans to be respectful after Red Bull's Yuki Tsunoda received online abuse at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Colapinto, who is making his season's debut for Renault-owned Alpine at Imola after replacing dropped Australian Jack Doohan, accidentally blocked Tsunoda in the first Friday practice, with the Japanese gesticulating back. After the practice, Tsunoda received a series of abusive comments, much of them in Spanish, on his Instagram feed. In the game between Brentford and Fulham, Brentford is now in the lead, leading the proceedings by 2-1. Let's take you to the live action. When we come back, we'll find out what's coming up on Mix Vibration.
Shame there's only 30 seconds of this first half left to play. First half in which Fulham led. Cross comes in and Vandenberg was just losing his footing there, and it's gone behind off him for a Fulham corner. 4 minutes we're hearing, though, gratefully, that there'll still be to play in this first half.
Sometimes I think the best way of defending it is if you've got a goalkeeper who's really good in coming for crosses, and when they're coming out of that sky for so long at such a distance, a goalkeeper can have a run, jump and get the punch in. But then, of course, you are susceptible to where that punch goes for the second ball. But goalkeepers have got that advantage. But Collins won that first header, and then it was going to be a goal.
Lukic with the corner, dealt with by Brentford. The clearance gets the ball out of the penalty area, and a free kick.
45 minutes of football has been played between Brentford and Fulham, and referee's optional time is 4 minutes, so this match will be going on a halftime break anytime soon. Let's now welcome to Africa at Play the Mix Vibration legend that is Jolene Nsungu to tell us more about what's coming up on this anticipated exciting edition of Mix Vibration. Bonjour.
Bonjour Neto, et bien sûr sur Mix Vibration aujourd'hui, nous aurons une panoplie de musique africaine que nous allons offrir à tous nos auditeurs parsemés dans tout le pays africain et dans le monde au travers de médias. Et aussi, nous aurons un artiste, Yves Matadi, qui nous joint pour nous parler de son album sur Mix Vibration. Donc restez connectés sur Mix Vibration.
Merci beaucoup. That's Jolene Nsungu, and of course you can look forward to an exciting edition of Mix Vibration. That's Channel Africa for you, broadcasting to the world in 5 languages, in French, English, Portuguese, Chinyanja and Kiswahili. 16:46 Central African Time. We're wrapping up the show with our legendary correspondent from East Africa, Sam Mpoza, all the way from Kampala, Uganda. Sam Mpoza, good afternoon. A warm welcome to Africa at Play.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Neto Neto Chemane. Thank you so much for giving me this chance to speak to Africa.
Thank you so much, Big Brother. Thank you for joining us. Let's talk school sport, something that is very close to my heart, because development is not an event, it's a journey, and it's good to see that in East Africa, school sport is treated with that respect and it's given the necessary attention, because these are the future stars of the African continent.
Well, yes, we have always talked about school sports in East Africa, Uganda, and Africa, and the world over. I think now everyone sees that it is through schools that you can find the young people and probably help them grow their talents and help their future. So, yes, in Uganda, this is now a very serious it is a very serious issue to have sports in schools. And this week, we had the finals of the national schools games, ball games 1. You see, in Uganda, the games are categorized in two phases. Like I told you before, that you qualify. There's a structure for qualification of the different schools up to the national level, up to East Africa, and probably going to represent East Africa in the world, at the world stage Africa and the Africa stage. So there's ball games 1. Now there are different games in ball games 1, and there's also ball games 2 because the students are busy in school, so they can't meet enough time to have all the games competed for at the same time. So they divide them into 2. That is ball games 1 and ball games 2. So ball games 1, we have rugby, we have badminton, we have volleyball, we have football, boys and girls. There's lawn tennis, table tennis. Those ones go in ball games 1. But even then, there's also netball. But netball, they only play under 16 in ball games 1. So in ball games 2, we go for netball, under 20. Then we have handball, under 20. Then we also have basketball, 3-on-3, under 20, and then a number of other games. So that is how it is. So this time around we had ball games 1 finals, national finals in Uganda, and they were held in the eastern part of the country, whereby we had 21 gold medals for the games, because there were 21 different categories for which the different schools could win a gold medal, bronze medal, silver medal, gold medal, silver medal, and bronze. Then the best 4 teams from each category qualified to represent Uganda in the East Africa Secondary School Games, which is called FEASA, the Federation of East Africa Secondary School Games Association. So that is the body that organizes secondary school sports in East Africa. So now we had, like I told you, I think if you listen to my package, I think I outlined all the winners, the different winners. Budo SS won the boys football under 20. Then we had King's College Budo winning rugby for rugby 15s. Then we had Nkoma SS winning the girls rugby 15s, and the different schools also winning. So that is how serious it is, and the main aim is to ensure that these talents are given a platform to showcase, and then the best are chosen to go and represent East Africa. Then from East Africa, they will go to the world. That is the ISF Games, and they are organized in. The ISF Games are organized in different age groups. We have under 15, under 18, and under 20. So it depends on who qualifies for what. So that is it about school sports in the country, in Uganda. And according to government, they think this is now the best way to help talent development in the country. Before this, sometime back, we used to have academies for different sports, especially football. That was the only chance for the youth to have a chance to play. But now, the youth will have a chance to play in their schools. We had 7,000 students competing in ball games 1. 7,000, because 1,600 students competed in boys football. 1,600 students competed in boys football under 20, and there were 64 schools in that single event. But there was also another 5,000 and plus who competed in the rest of the games. Then ball games too, we might also have a big number of around 6,000. So if you put 7,000 and 6,000, then you have over 10,000 students competing at the national level only. That is minus the students who didn't qualify up to the national level. Because from each region, we had 4 teams coming to represent the region. There are so many who didn't qualify to come to the national level. So that shows you that there are over 20,000 or even 50,000 students are engaged in school sports in the country. And that is good for sports in the country, but it is also good for sports in the region. Because Kenya does the same thing, Rwanda does the same thing, Tanzania does the same thing, South Sudan does the same thing, and the rest of the region. And that shows you that the whole of East Africa if we had 50,000 students competing in different games in every country, then we have how many countries in East Africa? We have around maybe 7 or 8 countries in East Africa. That shows you how the magnitude of school sports in the country, in the region, and that is good for the region. Back to you, sir.
Sam Mbaza, our correspondent based in Kampala, Uganda, talking to us about East African sport. Sam Mbaza, we are left with 2 minutes. Let's react to Vipers winning the Uganda Premier League on match day 29. They are sitting on 68 points and followed by NEC with 64. So with the final match, match day 30, even if they lose that match, NEC will never catch up with them. Your reaction?
Well, yeah, it's a good thing for Vipers to win it again, because if you look at the investment they put in, I think they're the biggest investors in Uganda's football. The team has its own stadium, Stadium in Chitende. They also hire international coaches, foreign coaches. They hire players from outside the country. They have professional players. And that, of course, shows you how much they invest into the team. And, of course, winning it is not accidental. It is something that they work for. Of course, speaks to what investment can do in sports. If you invest, you get the results. If you don't invest, you don't get the results. Okay, yes, the other teams also invest, but Vipers invest more. If you look at the structure, they have their own stadium, which is up to standard, international standard. Then the coaches and the whole environment. Every player in Uganda would want to play for Vipers because of the investment. The owner of this team, the owner of this team is the former FOFA president, Lawrence Mulindwa. He was president of FOFA for around 10 years, and then when he decided to retire from football administration as a FOFA president, he concentrated on his team, and no wonder the team is doing well. Now, the only challenge they have is to showcase the same talent, the same performance when it comes to the African continent, when they go back to Africa, to the CAF Champions League. But there before, when they eliminated TP Mazembe, and then they lost the coach who had mastered the philosophy of the team, and then they went back into all this. So the last time that they didn't perform so well in Africa, they have another chance to go back to Africa and showcase what they can do. It's a good thing. Net is a new team, by the way. This is, I think, their second season in the league, in the Uganda Premier League. This is a government-owned team, because NEC in full is national enterprises. So it's a government-owned team. There's also some good investment. National Enterprises Corporation, it's a government team. Some good investment, but they also need to maybe step up something like in coaching and the type of players they have. Otherwise, they can also be another team. There's also a team called Bull FC, Bidco Uganda Limited. This is a corporate owned company, and they're also very competitive. So the league has been competitive for the last 3 seasons, until probably it's only this time that Vipers won it with a game to go. They thought they would win it even with 3 games to go, but Bull beat them. They needed to beat Bull. Bull beat them, and then they had to wait and beat Kitara to win the league. And that, of course, makes the league very interesting. Let's see what happens when the CAF Champions League comes around.
Thank you so much to Mr. Sam Mbaza for joining us on this conversation. Thank you, Mr. Mbaza. Have a good afternoon further.
Thank you so much, sir.
That's how we wrap up our conversation with Sam Mbaza, our legendary correspondent all the way from East Africa in Kampala, Uganda. A legendary swimmer from America, Michael Phelps, said there are always going to be obstacles that come in your way. Stay positive. There will be doubters. There will be mistakes, but with hard work, there are no limits. We will meet again next week, Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time on DSTV Audio Bouquet Channel 802 or OpenView 628 if you are based in South Africa. Also available anywhere where you are on channelafrica.co.za as well as SABC Plus. Thank you to our technical operator, our sound engineer, that is Katu Mataba, as well as my producer, Andisiwe Fagimalu Zobona Mali, and from the rest of the Africa at Play team, thank you for listening. My name is Neto, Neto Chemane. Hosiati, Konyangazi, Mumkajwa, Pantle Kunjani, Moyani, Voko Dendele. Africa at Play, Astelele Siashaya. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
5 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle. We deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act.